What's so fun about an icebox cake is instead of baking a cake, what you're going to do is you're going to layer cookies or wafers with a whipped cream topping and give it a little time. So just set it in the fridge. So ideally do it a day before. Now, the other fun thing about an icebox cake is that as it sits, the moisture from the whipped cream absorbs into the cookie and turns it into your cake. So you don't have to bake, you just have to layer them, give it some time, and you'll have what feels like a cake when you serve it. The first prep step you want to do just to be ready and kind of get this out of the way is simply to toast the coconut. And if you're going to skip the coconut because you hate it, then of course that's really easy. But all you're going to do is take a half a cup of sweetened coconut and spread it out on something. You're just going to want to toast it. Now you can do this in the microwave. I like to use a stemware small bar pan. And I'm going to just put it in the air fryer and give it a little mix every so often so that it toasts evenly. Don't skip this step if you're going to use coconut. The coconut is so much more delicious when it's toasted, and it will burn super easy, so do not start it and ignore it because it will turn black before you know it, especially because it's already sweetened. There we go. We'll just set it aside and let it cool down. And this is gonna just be a garnish on the top when it's all done. All right, limes. We're gonna put lime in here. And again, this zest and juice is the secret ingredient to this recipe. So again, let me just show you that a lime really wants to have a lot of yellow, and it wants to be nice and smooth. So don't think that when you find a lime that's dark green and pebbly feeling, you found the one. It is not the one, it's not ripe yet. So it will eventually turn almost yellow and get really nice and smooth. And make sure you wash it before you zest it. And zesting really is just taking that top layer of color off. Okay, take a look. I have all this. You can see the back side, and that's how fine it is. You really can hardly see how really any raised surface here. So that's why you want this type of a tool, and because it won't get down into the pith. Sorry, I meant to show you this. All right, so you can see this little white spot right there where I got through into the pith. That'll be a little piece of bitter somewhere in here. I don't know if I could find it to get it out, but I'm gonna dump this into my bowl. Like I said, it's a super easy recipe, but this part of the recipe is the piece that will make the difference. So make sure you have nice ripe limes. They're gonna give you a lot more juice, and you have a juicer like this, preferably. And I'll show you just kind of what it looks like when it comes out and how much you get. So a half of a ripe lime. There I have 1.5, almost 2 tablespoons of juice just from a half a lime. It was a larger lime. There we go. So you can see that this tool basically turns it inside out, gets all the juice out. And I have right there 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. I'm just gonna keep going because this is the good part. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is add 1 cup of sugar. I'm opting to put powdered sugar or icing sugar in mine because I'm borrowing from our technique to make this just a little bit easier. So normally this type of a recipe, you beat your cream cheese and your flavorings and your sugar together, and then separately you whip the cream. And that's fine, you can do that in this case. So whatever tools you use. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is add 1 cup of sugar. I'm gonna borrow the technique that is taught for the Deluxe stand mixer, which makes life easier with this type of a recipe, and that is to use the whisk and put everything in. So here's my softened cream cheese, 1 package, 2 packages. Next, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, which of course I never measure, but you want to use your best vanilla. You know, it's all these simple, when you have a recipe that has few ingredients, the better quality ingredients that you use, you're gonna have a better result. So I love a good pure vanilla. So use what you love. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and set this down. We'll turn the mixer on, turn it to whip. We're gonna change the time, just to 3 minutes. The last 2 minutes, I'm going to slowly pour in the 2 cups of whipping cream, and it's going to beat the cream cheese and whip the cream all together all at once. So again, if you don't have this mixer, go ahead and just use your stand mixer or a hand beater and do them separately and fold them together. I absolutely love this thing. It is perfection. It truly is perfection. Let me show you why I say that. First of all, look how beautiful those peaks are. And then look how perfect that is. It's frothy, it's creamy, it's velvety, and I had to do nothing other than stand here and wait for a full 2 minutes. Woo! It really is so beautiful. So today I'm going to actually use up a cookie that we bought, and we found it really more intense ginger flavor than we like, and so I think I'm gonna substitute this and use them up, but otherwise I would just use graham crackers. If you're gonna assemble yours as beautiful little dishes, you can put it in the bottom. If you want to, because this one is not quite big enough to cover the bottom, you could put a little extra in there or break it up. I just need enough to do 2 layers, and it doesn't have to be exact, because remember, the cookie is going to turn into a cake. So there's my base layer. And I'm going to like cut this in half and then kind of pretend to get about half of it. I'll do my best. Again, this is a very forgiving type of cake, if you will. So when you're going to use your offset spatula, use the underside so you don't have to turn your wrist over. this offset spatula saves you from dragging your thumb or your wrist through the filling or your icing, whatever it is. All right, so there I have about half of it. I'm gonna go ahead and put my next layer on. I'm missing a little bit, so I'm just gonna stick some of this. Actually, I have some other cookies too. We'll use these little almond mile things. I think the flavor will go fine in here. We'll use them up. So this is what you do with the cookies that you didn't like, if you want, because they're just going to absorb all the moisture from the whipped cream, and they'll lend their flavor and just boost it. At least that's the thought. Okay. And then we'll put the last layer of whipped cream cheese. And then we'll spread this layer out. And it's almost ready. All right, so there is the top of the icebox cake. And all I'm gonna do now is put the lid on, pop it in the fridge, and just before I serve it, I'm going to sprinkle the toasted coconut on top, slice up a third lime, and add those slices as a garnish, and serve it. All right, it is time to put this together and taste it. All right, so first of all, look, it's just, you know, looking kind of like it did when I made it earlier. So I'm just gonna slice up some lime, and this is just for garnish. So you can do a couple different things. You can do wedges if you want, but the toasted coconut is very pretty on here. And then, actually Pepper Chip has a bunch of tools that will slice these. However, I'm not using them right this second. So what we might do is cut these in half. You could also cut them in quarters. You could cut them whatever, however you want to be pretty with it. But we're gonna go ahead and take our toasted coconut and sprinkle it on top. Oh my word, this smells so good. So remember, it was only a half a cup. It's plenty. You kind of think, oh, it doesn't feel like very much. But look at it. Oh my word. Okay. And then we'll take the lime slices and kind of stick them down in so that there's a little bit of a 3D effect. Just kind of do them sort of randomly. There we go. All right, so take a look. You probably can make yours look prettier than mine even. And now it's time to taste it. All right, because this is a non-stick pan, I don't want to wreck it by putting a big metal utensil in here. So I could use this little nylon one, oopsie, or I love this one if you have it, but any tool you want. And, okay, so we're gonna go in here and scoop out, oh, I think you do a perfect job. But when it's dessert, it doesn't really matter, does it? I don't think I'm gonna get hired as a food stylist anytime soon, because that little piece. So take a look. Definitely not a food stylist, but you can see the 2 layers and it's nice and soft. So what was a cookie turned into a cake. So you can see it, it's really, It feels like I just went south. It's really creamy. I want to eat it all. A little bit of tangy lime, the fragrance of the coconut. The ginger kind of disappears in there, so it was a good use of those ginger cookies. I don't even think I can taste the ginger. All right, so bon appetit. Do try this. It's delicious, it's easy, it's definitely cake.